rising, rich, rising, however you want to say it. I want to say peace and blessing, and thank you for tuning in to the Lethal Truth, where the truth shall set you free by any means necessary. It could be mentally, it could be physically, depending on your situation, especially if you're incarcerated. Something I could say probably could get you home. Hey, you never know. Today we definitely got a good one for you. With that being said, we're gonna wait for a few people to tune in. Give me like 1 minute or two. Matter of fact, give me 2 minutes and wait for some people to tune in. Oh man, how's that weather out there today? How's that weather? I know it's raining. On the parade. This is the 9th day of Diddy trial, but I'm gonna be talking about some things that have been happening for the last probably from Thursday and from Monday to now. Not even Monday, I would say from Tuesday to now. It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot of information that's coming out. We got witnesses coming up today. We're supposed to have Kid Cudi coming up there to testify. I really don't know why, but hey, that's what he's supposed to be doing today. So, like I said, we're going to give it another minute and wait for some more people to tune in. As soon as you tune in, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that share button. Come on now. You know how it go. Show me some love out there. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. So, like I said, we're going to give it a minute before we start going right into it. You know what I mean? Wait for some people to tune in. I know it's early in the morning. Some people go to work early in the morning. I try to do something different. I try to get on in the morning. Sometimes I'll be having technical difficulties at night. You know what I'm saying? So I try to do something early in the morning where I have time to do, my content. So I'm trying to do something different, trying to get in where I fit in so I don't get distracted. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much it on that note. So we're going to wait about another minute or so. Give it another, matter of fact, couple of seconds, and then we're going to go right into it. So we got Cassie Moms. Matter of fact, we're going to wait. We're going to wait. That's what we're going to do. We're going to wait. Get my water going on. All right, so we're gonna go right into it right now. So hold on. All right. So we got Cassie's mom testifying. We got the escort testifying. We got and we got the assistant testifying. We also got the forensic psychologist testifying, which I think I'm gonna do that later on. And then we also have, who else is testifying? Oh, we also have Homeland Security testifying. Now that's very interesting, right? And then we got the forensic, I think I said it's a forensic psychologist that's testifying, which is very good. It's a lot with that. It's dealing with abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, and so forth. But we're gonna get into that a little later as we go along with this, right? So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that share button. Please hit that share button. Like I said, I changed it up right now. I'm doing something a little different, doing something early in the morning so I can have time to myself, so I can do my content instead of another time or like later at night, because it'd be a little bit distractions, you know what I'm saying? Not, no, I'm saying not that I have any control of it, because I don't. You know what I'm saying? So it's like prison. If you don't have control of certain things, you got to get in where you fit in, and then you have to use your brain to go around the corners of certain things. You know what I'm saying? You can't blame nobody for your help, your whole bag. You just gotta outthink the box, or think outside the box, as they say. So let's get right into it. I know on my last content I said that Puffy Rico case was dismissed. I want to correct that. That was very incorrect. His Rico case is still pending because the sex trafficking is under the Rico Act. Because the Rico Act is plenty of things. Now let me explain what they trying to do. How they trying to get Diddy under the Rico Act. Because technically, when you hear Rico, you hear mafia. Every time you hear Rico, you hear mafia, because that's all they get locked up for. They don't get locked up for petty robberies and robbing stores and little shootings on scooters, and you get seen. Like when they commit murders, nobody see nothing. That's one thing I could say about the mob. When they commit their murders, nobody see nothing. The only ones who know something is the people that's there doing the act. That's how they get snitched on. You dudes be running around with these scooters and letting the cameras see all in your face and you get caught. But I'm not trying to go there. I'm just trying to make it a point here. So, like I said, when you hear Rico, you hear the mob, you hear mafia, you hear organized crime, you hear you hear the top boss, then you hear the capo, then you hear the casariale, or however they pronounce it, where it's lieutenant. Then you hear the capo, which is the sergeant. Then you hear the foot soldiers and the members that's under the mafia. They have people that works with them to bring in money, so they can bring in money for the big bosses. And these soldiers that's members, they have their own soldiers that's not members that work for them, that's trying to get in to the mafia. You see what I'm saying? You see how it all goes out? It's a pyramid. That's organized crime. Yo, listen, I need you to handle something. Go take it. They all have a designated position where they have to go do things that's illegal for their boss or for the ones that they're working for, so those that they're working for could bring the funds to the top capos and the bosses, right? All right, so in Puffy's indictment, right? In Puffy's indictment, and hold on, before I begin, like I said, everything that I get from those that's actually in the courthouse. If they not in the courtroom, they in the overflow room where they can see it on camera and they speed writing the transcripts, or they got copies of the transcripts, because some people pull some type of muscle. You know how it go. You know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. So I'm not giving you none of this information that's been edited from different blogs. You get one little saying here, you get one little saying there, and it makes you to get your own type of understanding or conclusion of the case, and you become biased, because this is what a lot of these news anchors are doing. You see what I'm saying? Because they're down there in the courts. Everything that I tell you on my last 3 shows when they deal with this Diddy case, they heard the same thing. But when you go on their blogs, they're saying something different, because their mission and their aim is to persuade people's mindset and decisions in society when it comes to this case, whether you're going to go against Puffy or whether you're going to go against Cassie. So what I do, I give you the testimony, and I give you the direct examination, which is from the prosecutor, and I give you the indirect, and give you direct cross examination. When you hear that, that's the defense. You know what I'm saying? So I give you both so you can make your own decision from what you heard, and you come to your own conclusion. And then when you say, hold up, man, I ain't hearing this like I heard it from them, because a lot of stuff that I'm hearing, when I speak about it, I don't see it on the news. After I finish, I go on social media and I'll go look around. I'll be like, what are they talking about? Are they reading the same thing I'm reading? Are they seeing the same thing that I'm seeing? You know what I'm saying? So, all right, so we're going to get right into it. So Puff's charges on page 4, when they deal with the Rico case, on page 4, subsection B, protecting and promoting an enhancement of reputation of Sean Combs, the defendant, musician, entertainer, entrepreneur, and a figure in the industry. This is how they build in a Rico case based on enterprise. Subsection of page 5, preserving, connecting, promoting of Combs enterprise, including the power of its leader, Sean Combs, through violence, use of force, and firearms, threats of violence, and verbal and physical and sexual abuse. This is what this is coming to. Y'all all right out there? Y'all all right out there? All right. Trying to use his assistance in security. This is what they're trying to use. They're trying to say that since all of this been happening with the blackmail and the assaults or whatever, the guns and the drugs, buying the drugs, they're trying to say in this pyramids scale or scheme of things of what they have, they're trying to use his employees as workers for him so he can do his illegal thing, which is far-fetched because the defense team is saying, yo, listen, you cannot blame security. First of all his employees has a specific occupation. When you talk to mafia figures and they're in the game, what do? Yo, I'm the hitman. I'm the cleanup crew. What do? Yo, I'm the cap. I'm the boss. I'm the underboss. I make sure things go along for the lieutenant. What do? I make sure that the sergeant is doing what he had to do so we could get all extortion money, or you know what I'm saying? Anybody that needs to be taken out, I make sure the cap on those and he does the work. That's their occupation. That's their job. When it comes to Puffy and his enterprise, what do? I'm security. What is your job? My job is to protect Puff, nobody else. I don't care about Cassie. My job is to protect Puff by any means. That's who he hired me to protect, Puff. He didn't hire me to work for the Grammys or none of that. He hired me to work for him. So if I see him beating Cassie behind, I'm not going to do anything. Why is that? Because I'm not hired for that. I'm hired to protect Puff. If I jump in talking about I'm going to save a woman and step out of my line of work, I get fired. And nobody's going to help me feed my family. What do? I'm an assistant. I make sure everything is situated with Puff interviews and everything. That's my job in the entertainment world. It's nothing about illegal, but this is what the prosecution team is trying to do. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to put them all together. Maybe I should do this later on. I think I should do this later on, at another time. What y'all think? This is very early in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Very early in the morning. But you know what? We're going to go right into it. We're going to go right into it. So, the prosecution team now. Well, before we get into the prosecution team, I want to talk about Cassie's mother because she did come up there to testify, right? And I mentioned that last show that she came up to testify. And in her testimony, she was saying that, one day, Puffy beat Cassie up, took her phone. This was the elevator incident and called her, right? Now, I'm going to say prior to that, allegedly is what the mother said, Cassie got assaulted by Puff and decided to call her mother since she was, hurt, right? And to say that she was hurt. And so what happened was her mother now decided to take pictures of the wounds that she had. Excuse me. Decided to take wounds of the assault that Puffy bestowed on Cassie. Took pictures and everything. So the mother says. She said that she was going to keep this because she know down the line her daughter was going to get in more serious trouble and she was going to save those pictures for later time. So she called Puffy. Of course, she beefing. This is her daughter. And she said, "No, leave my daughter alone." Puffy's like, you know what? I'm going to leave her alone, but she owe me money. So what you talking about she owe you money? She owe me $20,000. I'm not letting her go. So, when you're an artist and a record label, as soon as you sign your name on a dotted line, you're in debt. What do I mean? What I mean is everything you do at a record company, on a record label, you have to pay for. Okay, you have to pay for the promotions. You got to pay for the songs that's being made. You got to pay for the producer. You got to pay for the engineer. You got to pay for the marketing. You got to pay for the video. You got to pay for everything that comes out of your pocket based on your proceeds that you get from your sales. Get it? So once you sign on the dotted line and you get an advance check, you get an advance check for like 10, 15,000, sometimes 50,000, depending on how big you are or how big you people want you far as requesting your music. So I'm assuming probably Cassie got 20,000. I don't know. She probably got 20,000 as, a signing deal, her advance check. So the mother, they didn't have the money. The father didn't have the money, Cassie, and decided to, liquidate their house. So they took $20,000 out on their house and gave it to Bad Boy. Sent Puff the check. Said, let my daughter go. Bad Boy returned the check. Said, now we good. Because she still owe us. See, they ain't telling you that out there. They like, oh, Puffy's foul. He made some way the mother sell the house or liquidate the house to get 20,000 to give back. Yo, that's foul. He's dirty. But they're not telling you Bad Boy sent the money back. They're not telling you the mother got on the stand and said he gave the money back. No, excuse me, my fault. She did get on the stand and said, no, Puffy did give me the money back. But everybody ran with it. See, I forgot because so many people running around saying, Puffy ain't giving them no money. He took $20,000 out. He gave the money back. So Cassie mother never lost the house. The house was never in liquidation. She already gave you the money. He already gave you the money back. What did you do with it? But then after that, she said, like I said, she said, she was only up there for like 10 minutes. She can't really say anything because you're mommy, you home. You don't know what's going on. You only know what Cassie tells you. You don't know anything, right? So she gets off the stand, Peace. So she get off the stand, like I said, she didn't have really much to say. The defense team didn't even give her a direct cross-examination because, like I said, you see what I just said? It was nothing. She didn't even show pictures to prove, like she said, I took pictures of the incident where he abused my daughter, and when I was going to save it. She never brought those pictures to the prosecution team. Those pictures was never aired out in court. And one thing I want to say too, stop listening to these people who've been talking about Puffy for years that's at this courthouse, all right? No, or Audrey, or whatever her name is from Danity Kane, she did not take the stand. She's not testifying because she don't know nothing. I see now they got something new with J-Lo. Seeing J-Lo release a tape, that's a lie. First of all, Diddy stopped dealing with J-Lo in 1999. Sean wasn't even locked up yet doing his bit. So why they calling her that? Y'all don't see what's going on? Stop listening to these people with these AI blogs, man. You know what I'm saying? Because J-Lo is not testifying. Justin Bieber is not testifying. Nobody's using his name to say that they are witness to anything pertaining to this case. The only time you hear celebrity names is when they cross-examine somebody and say, listen, who was there at the party? Oh, it was Usher, it was Fat Joe, it was this, it was that. That's who was there. They ain't talking about no freakos. They talking about regular parties. And then you run with it and say, see, Puffy's telling. Hey, yo, let me tell you something. First and foremost, you said Puffy was gay, bisexual. He had freakos and he was with this and he was with that. Like these making a band dudes that's running around that's bitter talking about, yeah, I opened the door and I saw a man and they was looking at me like, oh, why you ain't say that then? You saying it now. How come they not talking about that at the trial? I ain't hear no homosexual activity yet. The closest you get to something with Puffy dealing with a man is Cassie saying she took the semen out of her or off her and she rubbed it on Sean's nipples. That's about it. Now you may say, oh, yo, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but there's no penetration. There's no man-on-man oral. So where all these stories is coming from? How come Cassie's not saying that? She been with him and been closer to him than any one of us or any one of them that's talking about all this homosexual activity. But she's not talking about that on the stand. Y'all say Puffy got locked up. Yo, he getting ready to get, right now he's facing life. Y'all saying, yo, he gonna bring mad people down. He getting ready to tell. Tell him who? He stand up 10 toes down. He in the courthouse like this. Yeah, he's looking great because he ain't got no dark and lovely. He can't dye his hair. Duh. That's what happens when you're 56 years old. You acting like he's 21 years old and he don't got no grades. He's 56, he's almost 60 years old. What do you expect? You expect for him to die in jail? The man is in the penitentiary. He's not eating steak and lobster right now. He's eating quick chill, bullcrap food. Food that my dog wouldn't even eat, but he got no choice. Art inspired fashion. I think they're going to try to get Puffy on a few charges, but I think he'll beat it on appeal. I don't know, man. I don't know about this appeal, man, because this dream team is look, yo, let me tell you something. Like I said, the only thing they got on Puff is domestic violence. So they got. All they got is him is physical abuse, verbal abuse, financial abuse. That doesn't revolve with RICO. That doesn't involve sex trafficking. But we're gonna get back into all of these cases, right? I mean, these testimonies. Now I want to reiterate for my last show, because we're gonna go forward. I'm gonna reiterate for my last show when I was talking about the dancer, because it's a little bit more details with that. So for those of you that didn't see the last show, I'm gonna continue on this one. So the dancer name is Deshaun Haynes, right? And this is the one you heard called the Punisher. He calls himself the Punisher not from sexuality, but because he got that name because he used to play a lot of street ball. So he was busting behinds on the basketball court. Hold on. I want to do a show speaking about the invisible, unsolved trauma that our brothers and sisters are going through in our environment. I'm with you on that one, because I'm going to talk about that a little later on when it comes to physical abuse, because that really took me somewhere else, especially with the case, because it's a lot. And when I talk about the abuse with the forensic psychologist, you're going to understand more about this case when it comes to Puffy and abuse and Cassie abuse, because they both were abusers. Once you hear the testimony of the forensic psychologist that's on the prosecution team. I told you they messing this case up, but let's get back to it. So Punisher, Mr. Haynes, he started dancing in 1999 as an exotic dancer. And I believe in 2001, that's when he started working for the escort service. Now, he worked for an independent escort service. This is not his own rich. Now, he do have his own, but at that time, he didn't have his own, and he works for the escort service. So they asked me, are you a prostitute? Because I used to think that escorts was a prostitute. Just like when in the swingers, I used to always think when you were in the swing club, everybody having sex. But now that I own my own parties, I would say, man, scratch that. I don't own nothing. Scratch that. I don't own nothing. I gotta say that. Hey, man, people listening, I gotta say I don't own nothing. But being in that life, I would say, I used to always assume people would just jump and have sex, right? So he says, no, I'm not a prostitute. So what you mean? Explain. He said, what happens is people calls the company because he works for the company. He's independent, right? It's like a temp agency. So you go through the catalog, you see what kind of man you like or woman, and you pay the company. You don't pay him. You pay the company, and the company will pay you. Now, after that, whatever happens, you get paid on the side, But in this case, Puffy was paying him, right? Or better yet, Cassie. Why I say Cassie? I'll get to it. So he gets a call. Hit that like button. Yes, hit that like button. He gets a call And they tell him, listen, somebody wants you, as a married couple at the Trump Hotel. This was the first time that he gets to meet Puffy and Cassie. But at this time, he don't even know it's Puffy. So when he gets to the hotel, they tell him, go straight in. Don't go to the door, the security, now just go straight in, elevator, you know the room. This they tell him. But better yet, this was it. She tell him. Because Puff is not contacting him. Cassie's contacting him. I want y'all to pay attention to this. So he gets up in the elevator. He goes upstairs. He knocks on the door. Cassie opens the door. He said, Cassie's in a robe. She's smiling. She said, hey. He comes in. He looks around. Again, he don't even know this is Cassie. Why? Because she doesn't have a big career. Nobody really knows what Cassie. Right now, Cassie can walk past you. You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know. They put her face so many times up there, you still wouldn't even know that's Cassie you walk past. I know I wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? So at this time, early 2000s, he don't know this is Cassie. So Puff is in the room. Actually, no, excuse me. Puff is not in the room. He said the shower's running and he assumes the husband is in the bathroom. So he actually immediately, what you looking for, what you like, what you want, you know? He's being paid to do whatever he got to do. I'm pretty sure he don't want no homosexual activities because I know they have their bio. She says, well, what is it that you do? He tells her, and she like, nah, me and my husband don't want that. Me and my husband want a scene. Now, for those of you that don't know that's in this lifestyle, what a scene is, it means pretending to be something you're not or pretending to be in a place you're not. I may be my wife's ex-boyfriend and she may be my ex-girlfriend and we do it like that. Or I might come in and be the mailman coming to deliver mail. That's the scene. So she wanted him to create a scene. This is what she's saying because him and her is communicating, not Puff. She said, okay, I want you to just put the oil all over your body. Because when he said they had bowls of water on the floor with baby oil, because baby oil brings the glisten. I guess Puff and her, they have this fetish for glistening bodies when having sex. You don't know, that looks kind of exotic. You don't believe me? Go check out X videos and punch up that. You know what I'm saying? You'll understand what I'm talking about. And they bring in a bottles of Escort+, which is KY, because of course there's going to be anal sex involved. Or if you get too dry, especially if you on mollies and ecstasies and you're going for hours on end, females get dry. So the Escort+ comes in handy. The baby oil comes in handy. It's a purpose for all of these things, right? So she tells him what she wants. She wants him to wipe all the oil around his body, and she's gonna do the same. And you know, they're gonna just, I guess, look at each other, whatever, on some intimate stuff. At that moment, Puff comes out the bathroom. He doesn't know that's Puff because Puff has a veil over his face. He doesn't know that's Puff. Puff is not saying that. So immediately they get into it. They start freaking off with the oil. Hold on. Sorry about that. Had my dog eating cat food, man. Like, you already ate, buddy. So after that, Puff is sitting there. Hey, what's going on here for the knowledge? So Puff is sitting there and he's masturbating. He's getting off because he's a voyager at this point. For those of you who don't know what a voyager is, that's just somebody just sitting there watching their wife or their husband getting it in, and they're relieving themselves, they're pleasuring themselves, they're not interacting. This is their fantasy. This is what's called voyeurism. And afterwards, they might interact as in a threesome, or better yet, may not. They just get off like that. Yes. Share. Glossy 101. Peace. How you? Grand rising, top of the morning. Hit that like button, hit that share button. But this is what the Punisher is saying in the room, in the hotel room with Cassie. This is their first encounter. So the prosecution asked him, you had different accounts? He said, yeah, I had different accounts. What you mean? He said, there have been times, because he said they met 8 to 12 times already. So he said it was different time. The second time, he said they called him. He gets in the hotel. He gets to the hotel room. Of course, Cassie called up. Of course, when he opens the door and he comes in, Cassie opens the door. Hey, familiar face. You know how that go. Hey, you know what I'm saying? You know when y'all see each other, it's like, hey, what's going on? So she's like, hey, because she remember the last time. And according to his testimony, you know, Cassie like big things. So when she's calling for men, they got them big things. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got the Tootsie Roll. They calling Puff and all that. I don't know about all that. You know, they're going to say whatever to demean them. Obviously, all these women ain't saying that. They loving them, giving babies for them. So that little Tootsie Roll doing a lot of work. You understand what I'm saying? So we're listening while I work with my coworkers. All right, Monica. Blessings to you. Blessings to you. So he gets in the Punisher, Deshaun Haynes. He gets in an hotel room and he sits down. Now, you know, when you sit down, you grab the remote, you just want to watch the TV. For those of you like me, you know, when you out of town or wherever you go to a hotel and you turn it on, once you turn it on, it tells you, welcome, so-and-so. Whatever you put your name as you book under, whatever name you book under that hotel suite, your name comes up on the TV. So it said, welcome, Sean Combs. So automatically, the Punisher's like, oh, I'm with Diddy. He heard all the stories. You know how it is. This is the 2000s now. He been hearing about the parties and everything. So he's like, oh, now he's really paying attention to the female. Now he knows, oh, this is Cassie. Oh, I'm smashing Cassie. You know he's hyped because like, yo, I'm actually smashing a celebrity. This is what's going on in his mind. So, of course, now they do the interaction. Hey, boss lady. They do the interaction and everything. Of course, they use baby oil again. You know what I'm saying? And he's telling them, I'm using unprotected sex. Throughout all this time that they've been using him and other escorts, Cassie has not been using protection. Oh, my God. And you want to blame that on Diddy? She's not using protection. He said one time, she called him and they had a session. And after him and Puff went at it, he didn't even come yet. So she went over to him and said, you want to relieve yourself? This does not sound like a person being forcing to have sex with somebody else. She went to him and said, you want to continue so you can relieve yourself? And he said, yeah, he relieved himself. And one of the things that she wanted was she always told him, this is coming from him. This is the prosecution witness. She would tell him, no, don't come in me. Come on top of my stomach or on my, private area. And that's how he would do it with the Astroglide glistening all over his body while Puff is watching. They asked him, because throughout the cross-examination, I don't really have to go into that because it's really not too much because he didn't really, he didn't really contradict anything he said. So I don't have to read the transcripts on that. You understand what I'm saying? He said everything that he was supposed to have said. He also said that, he had some erectile dysfunction problems. He had to take ecstasy and Viagra because, you in that type of life, you got to have sex a lot. He's a smooth freaky man. He's a smooth freak man. The Punisher. You know what I mean? He got the bald head and all that little smooth young boy. You know what I mean? So he also said that it got to the point, after 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times having sex with the same female all night, And then, you know, I'm say the conversation is gonna come up. At this point, he already knows this is Diddy. They talking, they all kicking in a hotel room. He's the main freak off guy in New York. Well, I would say one of them, but he's like top five. They call when he's in New York or when they're in New York. So they asked him, "Have you seen Sean Combs physically or saw Cassie in any way during your whole time in your sexual escapades?" He said no. He said, "Did you witness her um being forced to have sex?" Now this is him being a direct cross examination by the defense. "Have you seen her being forced to have sex?" He said, "No, she willingly did that." He said she willingly did that. They say he said that with a smile. She willingly did that. So the defense asked him, "Judging by your demeanor, it seems like you and Cassie had a real intimate connection." He said, something like that. He said, you in love with her?" He said, "No." He said, "You have feelings for her?" He said, "I wouldn't say that. I don't know what the hell that I wouldn't say that mean, because you're an escort. You this, how does my wife say it? You F him and chuck him." I don't want to say the whole curse word because I don't want my podcast to be strike, even though it's not made for children. I'm still learning this thing. I'm trying to cool down on the profanity. You know what I'm saying? Hearing from the horse's mouth, Cash should be dismissed. Case should be dismissed. Yeah, you hear it from the horse's mouth. This is the escort, right? They asked him, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you know, I want to say that, you know, I was in love with her, but I took a liking to her. Put it like this. She was like one of my favorites despite everybody else. Things that I shouldn't feel, I was feeling that I didn't feel for other people that called me." So he was like, "I could put it like that." You know what I'm saying? Which I understood. I'm not in love with you, but, you know, hey, I like you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So at times he said they used to talk on the phone. So they asked him, "Did you witness Cassie use drugs?" He said, "Nah, I didn't see her use drugs." "So what about Sean Combs?" He said, "Nah, I never seen him use drugs either." So I was just like, well, maybe it's the early, you know what I'm saying? Maybe that was the early part of their relationship or something. You know, you didn't notice this because everybody, according to Cassie, they stayed high. They stayed high to the point that Diddy even checked himself into a drug program, and Cassie the same time, and he paid for Cassie's because they had a problem. He knew that. He said, "Yo, we got a problem." Because when you feel like, you know, when you have this type of money, you could buy drugs and alcohol every day. You know what I'm saying? This is why a lot of these artists stay OD, because you always have money. There's no chill pill with your drug use. But he must have realized it, like, yo, this is getting, and they said he OD. Even Cassie said he OD'd in the past that we don't know about because he got his own private doctor. He OD'd. Not once, but twice. You know what I'm saying? And we never knew Puffy had a drug problem until now. So he had to check himself in. He probably didn't see them take it, but seen them high all the time. That's what I was thinking. I'm thinking they was pre-gaming, and then they called him over and it was already good. I think this was really before they was really, really hard on the drugs. You know what I'm saying? Because all the drugs that they was having and they was walking around with or whatever, it's hard to not see somebody high. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he stopped dealing with them for whatever apparent reason. He said he also, you know, have a book out called The Freezer Meat. And he called himself The Freezer Meat because he was going through some sexual dysfunctional life with his penis, you know what I mean? So he wrote a self-help book to help men out with that particular problem. And one of the scenes that he wrote in the book is talking about a wealthy couple. And he's on the stand saying, I'm talking about Puff and Cassie. You know, so in that book, there's no domestic dispute. He's up there. He's not saying anything about domestic violence. But the key thing in that testimony is he's telling you that Cassie's calling for you. Cassie's calling that escorts. Cassie's telling me what kind of scene she like. Cassie asked me if she want to finish off. Cassie's allowing me to have unprotected sex with her in the same room with her man. Cassie. This is why I want people to hear. Now, don't get me wrong. Cassie even said, "Yo, I'm with the ish." She said it. If you look at my first show, she down with it. But maybe as time went on, she felt different. Because Puff wanted every week. Puff wanted every other day. Maybe she felt like after a while, like, yo, all right, cool. Because I get that too in the lifestyle. I know I go to parties. Some people, they've been in the lifestyle 15 years. And after they did all the freaky stuff, it's like, I'm tired of going to the parties. Or sometimes when they do come, they don't even want to play no more. Because they like, oh, yeah, I did it. I did that, been that. I'll probably do something outside the party. Like, I don't want to do it. You know, they get tired of it after a while. So maybe Cassie felt like that. I said maybe because I don't know, right? So, of course, you know, it was a small cross-examination with him because the dancer, he really couldn't say too much that was contradictory. But he did help both sides because he, like I said, he let us know that they was doing the freak offs, you know what I mean? And you know what? That is so important because when they asked Cassie, what do you consider freak off? She said, me, Puff, and an escort. So what happened to all the parties everybody was talking about? What happened to all the finger and the pegging y'all was talking about? Cassie telling you what the freak off is. You can't tell nobody what the freak off is. Stop listening to people. Listen to Cassie for a second. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Now, we're going to excuse the dancer because we pretty much got what the escort is about. And this is not the only escort. You had many escorts. You had like 13 escorts because every state they flew to, they had an escort, several. So he's not the only one having unprotected sex with Cassie. No condoms. At least in the lifestyle that I'm in, we use condoms. We go vet ourselves. We come in there packed with condoms. When you have a threesome, you have condoms. The only one you should be having unprotected sex with is the person you're in a relationship with. So how responsible is Cassie? I'm just saying, just think about it. Oh, she was high on drugs, slugger. Don't give me that. I used to be high off for all that 2 years ago when I was much younger, when my beard was all black. And I wasn't sleeping with no man. I wasn't getting pegged. I don't care how high I was. Ain't that much high in the world. I was strapping up. Okay, maybe once or twice I have one or two females I didn't use protection with. That's because I'm in a relationship or in a long-term relationship with, or been dealing with them for a long time. You know what I mean? But let's move on. So now the assistant, they call the assistant up there, right? The assistant is I don't want to say old, but he's a fat white guy, right? Chubby fat guy. Now, he's not the only assistant. There's several different assistants that Puffy have, but this is his main assistant who claims to be around Puff 19 to 22 hours a day, right? Hit that like button, hit that share button, give me that thumbs up. Come on now, give me that thumbs up. Hit that share button. Pick up a phone, tell girl, yo, my man, yo, log on to Lethal Truth. We talking some truth right now. You know what I'm saying? Now look, this is the assistant, right? Now they asked the assistant, this is transcripts now. This ain't just me. This is the transcripts. Prosecution team. So now it's a direct cross-examination. Direct examination, right? You have heard Puff and Cassie have a disagreement about her career. He said, and his name is David James. David James. He said, yes. Cassie wanted to get more involved and do modeling and music. Puffy wanted her to focus more on the music. Puffy knew she ain't had what it takes, probably. Like, you need to focus on that. Like, Ryan Leslie brought you to me. You got a voice. He ain't tell me about no modeling thing. This is what we going to do. Now I understand how he found Cassie and went to our 21st birthday because Ryan Leslie was dealing with her at 19 and brought her to Puffy to help him make an album, produce an album when she was 20. See where I said she went from A to Z, not A to B? she saw Ryan Leslie, was like, oh yeah, I got a celebrity, I'm about to get put on. But once she met Puff, who's abusing who now? It's a many different types of abuse. Y'all be trying to get on Puffy, but y'all don't really focus on Cassie abuse. Y'all don't focus on the things she do. She heard Ryan Leslie so bad, the brother made a song. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? All right. So the prosecution team, did you ever see Puff physically assault Cassie? No. This is what he's saying, right? Maybe he didn't see it. I don't know. He said one day he bought, Roscoe chicken and waffles for Cassie. That was mostly a thing because they were asking him now, what is the things that you do as an assistant? Why they have to stress that? Because the prosecution team, excuse me, the prosecution team is trying to make the RICO case by involving all the employees to do illegal activities for their boss to enhance his career, his money, and the things he's doing. That's why they focus on what is your job and your occupation as an assistant. See how that go? All right. So he's saying one day I bought, food, Roscoe chicken and waffles for Cassie. She was in the bed. One day, the sheet was pulled all the way up to her neck. She didn't want to see me. She didn't want to show me herself naked. And it was music playing, and the shower was running, and a guy came out. He said a guy came out. He said he came out with one of the biggest things that I ever seen in my life. He said, where was Puffy? I don't know. Puffy wasn't around. Many other times he said his job as an assistant is to make sure all the rooms that Puffy go to is situated. He has everything that he needs in these rooms because he's an assistant. That means the 40 products that I heard Puffy use on his face, his skin and all of that has to be there. Shaving razor has to be there. His dye for his hair has to be there. Clippers has to be there. Certain clothes has to be there. Certain drugs probably have to be there. We don't know. He didn't say drugs, but Puff got somebody he get drugs from. We get into that. But his job is to make sure that Sean John's bedroom in the hotel suite looks like his house. So everything that he need is there. This is what assistant does. Ain't that a cool life? Yo, I'm going to fly out. I don't need no clothes. I got clothes over here. And when you get in the hotel room, everything there is for you. You know what I'm saying? So this is his job. He makes sure that Puff has his Louis pouch with $10,000 in it and is there waiting for him. Puff always walking around with that much cash because I'm assuming as a celebrity, you never know when you get into a certain situation and somebody looking for a lawsuit, yo, hand. You know what I mean? Oh, and before I continue, I forgot to mention that dancer, he said he get paid $200 for 35 to 40 minutes of service. He said sometimes they'll give him $1,200 off the strength. They said one time he canceled it. Puff canceled, said we got to do something, and gave him $500 on the strength. I said, God damn, I think I'm in the wrong business. You know what I'm saying? But let's get back into it. So, and he also said that Puff had 20 to 30 different pill bottles that he will pack to help him with, his manhood. I call it the Hulk. Some call it Viagra and Cialis. To help you keep going. Because after you do so much drugs, it kills the sex drive inside. Even though you may be horny, you can't get it up because you done got too much Molly's or E's in you and alcohol, and he's not a young boy anymore. You know what I'm saying? So all of that plays a part. So he needs the Viagra and he needed other stuff that boosts up his sperm count. This is what the assistant is saying. He is saying, this is what I make sure that's in each of these hotels, wherever we go, even if we leave the country. We leave the country, Sean might drop off on the plane, say, yo, we're going to take some, make sure the hotel is good. He makes sure everything's situated. So when Sean walks in there, the red carpet is at his doorstep when he walk in the hotel room. Man, being rich is something, ain't it? He said the only one was able, the prosecution team asked him, well, who was the one that was only able to touch this money pouch and all these other pills? The assistant said either me or the security guards, right? He said that Puff would give him a certain amount of money to buy whatever he needed to buy. Wherever money he didn't have that Puff gave him to buy whatever he needed to buy, he would come out his own pocket, and what would happen, he would use the receipt and he would send it to the bad boy accountant, and the bad boy accountant would reimburse him. He alleges and said on the stand that if he had to buy anything else, whether you want to call it drugs, condoms, so forth, he bought it with his own money because he didn't want, he said allegedly, Sean didn't want the accountant to put any money trails on certain items like that, which is smart, right? So Puff will pay him out his own pocket for whatever stuff. So if you, yo, I need you to buy baby or Escort+, I need to go get some mileage, I know some dude, yo, meet him up over here, I give you the money back. So it's pretty much something like that, which is very important for the prosecution team because he wants you to look, he wants you to understand and see that Puff is buying stuff under the table instead of dealing with his accountant. So what else is he buying under the table? This is the seed that they're planting in the jury's head and in your head and in my head to understand that Puff is also buying things that is not accounted for. I mean, all rich people do that. Isn't that how they beat taxes and all that? Isn't that how some of us get more money in taxes? Come on now, talk to me. We know how we do this stuff. You know what I mean? They're trying to make it seem like, oh, they're wrong. Man, we all do that. You know what I mean? He asked him, have you seen Cassie in a hotel with an escort? He said he's seen Sean. He seen her at an escort. He see Sean at an escort. He saw Puff take perks throughout the day. He also said that Puff made him buy an 8-ball of cocaine. This is what he said on the stand when prosecutors is asking him, have you seen Puff take any drug, buy drugs, so forth? And he said, you know, he saw him take perks all day. You know, he saw him buy a whole 8-ball of cocaine from somebody called Sandro, right? Okay. So now the prosecution team says, have you taken any drugs? He says, yes, one time I took an E-pill during the New Year's. So here it is. Now he's telling you that he was taking drugs while he was working. Yo, this is crazy. You at work and you up there popping these. Man, your credibility is crazy on the job, right? But they showing something. Get into it. And the prosecution had to ask him. Now, he said Puff called him in the office the next day at that party when he said he took the E and all that, and he was smoking weed. And he said Puff showed him the tape. Because remember, they were saying Puff had the whole house video camered out and all of this, right? So he said, that Puff called him in. He saw the video on the TV from last night at the party. He saw himself. And he said Puff told him, you see that? That's you right there. But I'm going to hold that for future references in case I need it. So they said, what do you mean by it? He said to me, you know, it looks like blackmail. This is why all the blackmail is coming up. Now, here's my thing on that. How can you tell somebody is on an ecstasy or on a Molly? Ta-da! Talk to somebody who did it before. How could you tell somebody's on an E or Molly? There's really no effect unless you actually did it before. You can tell in certain ways if a person is talking too much. That's how you know. Not stumbling, not drooling, not like if you're on alcohol, not if you can tell a person on marijuana where their eyes is low and they laid back, talking slow. That's how you can tell they on. But how can you tell somebody's on the E pill? You can't. Especially if you weren't watching it on the screen. It's impossible. Unless they told you, yo, that night I was on the E pill. And so to me, he was lying on that. But that's my opinion. Maybe some of y'all can tell when somebody's on an E pill during a video. Can you tell? Let me know. Can you put it in the context? Can you tell when somebody's actually on an E pill and how through a video? Or just period. Just tell me how you know. I'm just curious to know. All right. So now he would say the video called a black man, excuse me. So they asked him, like, you know, when stuff come in from Puff Clothes and his cologne and shipments come to the house, because like Puff got his own stuff, he don't need to buy clothes, so he gets shipments, right? And he would say, "Yeah, I will make sure everything is accounted for." He said, "But sometimes I would steal an outfit here, I would steal some cologne, you know, the I Am King, you know what I'm saying? He would steal that." So now he's admitting that he's a thief on it. First, he's admitting that he's getting high on a job. Now he's admitting that he's stealing on a job. This is the government's witness. This is somebody word you can trust. I'm just saying, let's put it in context. Can trust his word, right? Now, he goes into the story about the drug dealer because now the prosecution team is questioning him about, hey, you know, did you buy any drugs? Because you said he bought an 8-ball, right, for Puff. Like, did you buy any drug person, right? So he's talking about, yeah, he bought the drugs about a guy named One Stop. We're going to get into that. But then he goes in and talk about the guns because now the prosecution team wants to switch it up and talk about the guns, right? Because we already covered the drugs. He said he bought it from a guy for Puff. That's what he said. So they're talking about the guns. So he said, what happened to the night with Suge Knight? Because remember Cassie said, oh, one night Cassie and Sean was in a hotel room and D-Rock and them came in and said, Suge Knight is out there at a diner because they was in LA. And she saw Sean and them grab all the guns and they ran downstairs. That's one story. Listen, they was in a hotel room. And Sean and them grabbed the guns and they ran out there to go after Suge Knight. This is what Cassie had said. Now, this is what he said. He says that they went to the diner, and when they went to the diner, they parked outside. Not all of them went inside. He said D-Rock saw Suge Knight and said, oh shit, that's Suge Knight right there. This is his testimony. This is not Cassie. Cassie said something different. He said he got out the car and he approached Suge like, yo, what up? And Suge like, what you doing in my city? He said, you know me. No, excuse me. He said, what up? I'm Biggie Man. I'm D-Rock. He said, Suge looked at him and said, what you doing in my city? He said, I'm getting money. You know what it is. He said, all right, cool. Right? Then after that, he gave everybody else and they went inside the diner. This is what he was saying. Right? He said when they got back afterwards, ordering the food, he said when they pulled up at the hotel, Cassie and Puffy is outside. It's like 3, 4 in the morning. Puffy and Cassie is outside and they're arguing. They're just beefing. I'm saying to myself, why did they have to come outside to beat? Wasn't they just in the hotel? You know what I'm saying? It just don't make sense to me. But this is his testimony, right? Then he gets into it eventually because they asked him why you don't work for Puff no more. He said he gets into it with one of the chefs, and he choked the chef out. So the chef, excuse me, that's what the chef said. The chef choked, he got choked out by the assistant. The assistant actually went to human resources and filed a complaint. And Puff checked them behind that because, of course, human resources going to contact you. He said after that and after the Suge Knight incident, he went to human resources and he wanted to resign because he said it's too dangerous. It's too dangerous. I don't want to be around this. It's too dangerous. You done supplied wounds with drugs, allegedly, or whatever else. You done seen your assistant. You were Puff 19, 20 hours a day. You saw some stuff. But all of a sudden now, when you get into LA and you in this situation allegedly happened with Suge, you want to resign because it's too dangerous. That's what he said. Right? So the prosecution team now, because the prosecution team, excuse me, they rest their case. The defense team now. Now we're gonna hear from the defense. Right? The defense team, they take a crack at him, right? It said, you met with federal prosecutors. He said, yes. Said, you met with them 2 times, right? He said, yes. See, I'm giving you the prosecution and I'm giving you the defense. You make your own determination. The defense. When you met with the prosecution January of 2024, you didn't mention this Mel's Diner story. You mentioned it now on the stand. You didn't mention it when you met with the prosecution team. The first time you met with the prosecution team, you didn't tell them this story. But today on the stand, you're saying it. David James is stuck. He's like, this is what I'm getting from others that was in the room. He's like, he's shrinking now. When he was with the prosecution team, he had a lot to say. Now he's like, oh man, damn, he's shrinking. So your Puffy team is a dream team. The defense team. Then when you met them a second time, you told them this story. So the first time you met them, you didn't tell them that. Now you're telling them on the stand. Now it's the second time you meet them. Now you're telling this story, right? He says, I don't remember that. You know how I did it on my last show, right? The prosecution team said, I'm gonna let you read this document right here. For those of you that's now tuning in, don't know what I mean, the prosecution team, like a lot of people were suing Puffy, right? And they want to take the stand. What they fail to realize is everything they told on that lawsuit and that complaint, they have to say the same thing when they on that stand at a criminal case. But what they didn't think was that this was become a criminal case years later. So you got to remember everything that you said because they're writing it down. So read that document for me. And when you finish reading it, look up at me. Right? So David James, he looks at the paperwork. He said those notes are inaccurate. So who's lying? You or the prosecution team? You just made a boo-boo by saying that. I want y'all to pay attention. The defense. On the second meeting with the prosecution team, you said it was outside the diner. This was 4 a.m. in the morning. He said, yes. Were you high? Were you drunk? He said, no. Did you have a clear mind? He said, yes, I had a clear mind. So you had 2 different stories. Was you given a proof? Because, excuse me, I went a little ahead of myself. Actually, what he said was initially that the altercation happened inside the diner. Excuse me, not the altercation where D-Rock stepped to Suge Knight and happened inside the diner. But now he's saying it happened outside the diner. Now the defense says, was you given a proof agreement by the government? Yes. I put parentheses. Snitch. What does that mean? A proof agreement means immunity. So the prosecution team stepped to him and said, yo, listen, we need you as a witness. We know what you did. We know you wasn't part of it, but we're going to give you immunity for all the stuff that you did. So if you said you actually bought the 8-ball for Puffy, don't worry about it. We got you as long as you testify. Pay attention. He says, yes, like I said. The defense, you met with the feds 2 times. Was you given a pro agreement? The defense says, did you meet with the government this morning at 8:45 a.m.? The court started at 8:54 a.m. He met them at 8:45 a.m. He says, yes. The defense, what did you talk about? David James, I can't recollect. The defense, he can't recollect now. What you talking about? Mel's Diner? I don't remember. This was just, I don't remember. The defense, did you talk about the inconsistencies in your story? DJ, David James, I can't recall. The defense, you mean to tell me you can testify about a situation that happened 2009 with great details, but a conversation you had with the feds 9 minutes ago, you can't remember? Excuse me. He said you spend 19 to 20 hours a day with Puff, right? He says, yes. What about his security detail? Do you spend that much time with Puff? He says, yes. Now, it's real interesting because you can remember stuff all the way in 2009, but you had a discussion with the feds about your testimony 9 minutes before the court opened, and you can't remember. This is their witness who told 2 different stories and tried to clean it up 9 minutes before the courthouse opened up with the prosecution team. Now he can't remember. This is the guy who was stealing Puff stuff while on the job and was getting high while on the job. Now he over here lying. Do you think he's credible? Put it in the comments. This is the witness, the prosecution team's witness. Right? So they asked him, why wasn't Puff security detail there? Because see, D-Rock is the head of Puff security. You said D-Rock went there. Now, I've been in organizations, when the head man is going somewhere or somebody that controls the squad is going somewhere, he never goes by himself. You an assistant and you got another dude that's with you that's not part of the security detail. So where's the rest of them? You in LA, we already know about all the checking in and the situations with Suge. Suge was still home. So you think D-Rock was going to ride around by himself? He said, I don't know where he was at. He said, I don't know where the security detail was at. At 4 a.m? Okay. I'm not going to put my own personal opinions out there. I'm going to let you do that. Now, the defense, you told prosecutors you bought an 8-ball of coke from Nelly Harper. That's in your profile agreement. That's in his snitch immunity agreement. Because the feds knew he committed a crime that deals with a RICO case. But instead of him Instead of them charging him with Puff and hoping that he would snitch on Puff, they gave him immunity so he could say whatever he can say just to get out of the situation that he's in. Because normally when you have a RICO case, that's what the feds do. You down with the buying drug, you're co-defendant too, and they get you to flip on the board. But in this case, for some apparent reason, they didn't want to do that. I wonder why. So he got a snitch agreement to give him immunity. Rat bastard. He said, I adjusted my answer. I don't even know what the hell that means, but he said, I adjusted my answer. The prosecution, oh, you adjusted. You adjusted your testimony from committing perjury is just an adjustment. What you tell the prosecutor is different from what you tell them. He's pointing at the jury now. So you adjusted, right? He says, no. The defense, did Puff know you bought an 8-ball from Nellie Harper? He says, no. Come on, man. Come on, hit that like button, hit that like button, hit that share button. Yo, listen, I got 10 viewers so far, and I got 1 like. Come on now. No, I got 5 likes. Come on now. Y'all can do better than that. Show me some love. It's early in the morning. I get up on here early in the morning. I done brushed my teeth, which you're supposed to do anyway. Wash your face. I came up here. I put some work in. Give me another thumbs up. At least another one. Now let's get back into it. So did you ever tell Puff you bought an 8-ball from Nellie Harper? He says, no. Defense, did you ever choke the chef? Well, of course, he said, I already told you about that incident, and Puff checked him behind that, right? Now, they asked him another question. Now, before I get to that, it's real interesting that they asked him that because it's showing what kind of individual that Puff got working for him that he don't know about, right? Okay. Did you ever bring prostitutes back to Puff house without Puff knowing about them? He says no. What about the time didn't you and Roger Barnes pick up 2 women and bring them back to the house? Yeah. I didn't know they were prostitutes though. This is what he's saying now. Now he didn't know they was prostitutes. We brought them back after having sex with a girl. She asked me for $200. I said I didn't know I was paying. She asked me if she could take a shower. I said yeah. But the shower was going to cost you $200. So she gave him $200, so they were stealing. Well, he was stealing already. So here it is. He's getting high on a job. He's stealing on a job. He's assaulting people on a job. And he's bringing back prostitutes to Puffy's hotel room, which under his name, having sex while on a job. This is a credible witness. I know if I was Puffy, he would have been fired. You know what I'm saying? Man, if first you stole my cologne and clothes, you was fired. You know what I mean? So now I should get to the forensic, but I'm gonna talk about that a little later. I'm gonna get into the Homeland Security, right? This is very important. Later on, I'm gonna touch up later on in the evening. I'm gonna touch up on the forensic and the psychologist abuse. Is very, very deep. It involves each and every one of us online. Those of you that have been abused, I suggest you really listen to what I gotta say on the next show. Let your children listen to it. It's the especially if your daughters are in an abusive relationship or your sons, because men get abused too. And women don't even realize that they're abusing men. And some men don't even realize they're abusing women. Just because you don't put your hand on a woman or then curse a woman out doesn't mean that you're not abusive. It could be financial abuse to the point you keep her immobilized where you know if she leave you, she gonna be broke. Some men live like that too. Their name is not on the lease. The woman has all control of their social, of their social security numbers and everything, their income, everything, passwords. And if a man leave, they could destroy him. Put it all on social media, give it to their friends. So that man will feel like he can't leave, and vice versa. A woman will feel like that. See, that's a form of abuse. You know what I'm saying? So I want to get into the Homeland Security. I believe it was March 25th, 2025. Diddy was given a warrant. They was given a warrant to search Diddy's homes, right? The prosecution team, the defense team, they asked them, like, when is the time that the prosecution team asked him, when is the time that you invaded the house? He said around 6 when they got there, until about 6 p.m. They said when they got there, Sean Combs wasn't there. Of course, they kicked down the doors. They found guns. They found AKs with some of the parts of the weapon was dismantled. They found several guns. They found inside the house, they found 21 bottles of baby oil. What happened to the 1,000? See what I be telling y'all? Stop listening to these people. What happened to the 1,000 of baby oils? I knew that was a lie. That's just not gonna sit there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're not counting 1,000 baby oils for what? And y'all said, oh, it was drugs in there. So what the drug charge at? $1,000 of baby oil is more than a felony, bro. What happened? Shut up. Talking about 1,000 bottles of baby oil. He had 21 bottles of baby oil and 31 bottles of Astroglide. Again, that is KY jelly. They found some drugs. They found some Molly. They found some ketamine. It wasn't that much where you looking at one of those smuggling shows where you see pounds of cocaine and all. No. Something like some of you go to the weed spot and buy. The little apes and all of that. That's the type of amount of drugs he had. He don't keep a big amount of drugs on him because Puffy had drugs in every house that he lays his head at. How you know? Because you can't fly with it. Duh. So he has people to go buy for him. Right? So after they found all of those guns, he told them that we handcuffed everybody that was on the premises. Of course, Puffy wasn't there. His daughters wasn't there. They alleged they didn't know where Puffy was at the moment. They handcuffed everybody. There was a young kid that was one of Justin's friends that was throwing attention, like, yo, what the hell you cuffing me for? They left him more cuffed longer, right? Then they started bag and tag everything. Now the defense team comes, right? And I'm not reading from the transcript because this is pretty much a slam dunk. Only things I read in as far as the transcript is all the bull crap contradictory, like what Cassie was saying. I had to read that. I got to go check out the other shows. So now the defense team, they up there. Like, yo, listen. First they asked him, how long you been doing this? He said, I've been doing it about 30 years. I said, God damn. Right? I said, he ain't trying to retire, you know what I'm saying? He's been doing this about 30 years. They asked him, so you had a search warrant to search Puffy's house, and you went there a little bit after 6:00 p.m. He said, yes. He said, and my client was nowhere on the premises. He said, absolutely not. He wasn't there. He said, do you know where he was at? He said, at the time we didn't know, but we learned later on he was in Miami at an airport getting ready to leave the country. And we seen that. We saw on the TV, we saw TMZ, we saw on the news, Puffy sitting there, he walking around. We like, yo, Puffy looking stressed out. And he was looking stressed out, but I think Puffy was like, well, why the hell they invaded me? What's going on? Because when the feds come for you, they don't just send you no warnings. Like in TV, the feds comes talk to you and, hey, what's up? And they don't do that. When the feds come for you, they coming for you. That's it. Ain't no sitting down, they question you. The only time they're gonna do that and question you is when they want you to start snitching after you get arrested. Hit that like button, please. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that share button, please. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know when I get live, you'll get a notification, and an hour before you'll get a notification. If I'm live at that specific time and I don't set nothing up, it's gonna send you a notification. So the defense asked them, okay, it said, normally, when do you get your warrants? He said about 4 in the morning. And what time you normally execute these warrants? Because he has a trail record, the defense team. They know how many times they hit houses. He said normally 6 in the morning. Normally 6 in the morning, but you waited all the way to after 6 p.m. to execute a warrant. I never seen that in my life. Even state police don't even do that. When these blue and whites, they want to come and give you a warrant. I mean, they execute a warrant. They come like 5, 6 in the morning because they want to catch you when you're sleeping. They want to catch everybody when they're sleeping and you're not on point. When I remember when they raided, I'm not gonna say, put it like this. I remember I know somebody that was selling drugs out of their apartment. Right? He gets up early to grind, and his wife gets up early to go to work. She got up like 5 something in the morning. She got in the bathroom, and they kicked in his door, and they were suited and booted in armor gear, and he was just selling weed. They came that early in the morning. You mean to tell me the feds gonna take their time coming after 6 o'clock? Why? See, the defense was trying to show us that maybe they was trying to wait for Diddy to leave so they can plant something. Because you handcuffed everybody, you waited for Diddy to leave. Plus, as the cross-examination is going on, you learned that Diddy already had a flight plan already booked, which was public information that the feds will know that he was taking him and his twin daughters out on a vacation. That's why he was in Miami at the airport. Come on now. Talk back to me. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. So now, the defense team said, okay, so you found guns, you said. Said, yeah, we found guns. So, okay. What did you find? They talked about the AK, the lowercase and the uppercase was removed on the AKs. They found several handguns. They also found one handgun that was in a red case. Okay. So the defense team said, and where did you exactly find those guns? He said, in a security detail office. What's wrong with this picture? I thought Diddy had the guns. They found it in a security detail office that's not even in the house. It's at the gate before you come in to Diddy's home, because Diddy's house is on the water. They had an FBI boat at the back of the house on the water to make sure nobody jumped out. Because Puff had other yachts and stuff out there. They said, we didn't want to make sure nobody escaped. When you already knew Puff was at the airport. You know exactly what time to hit him, because the same time they hit the house was the same time Puff was in Miami. At the airport. They already knew. But they didn't want him there. See, this is why I see now you're like, hold up, but they say he had all these guns in the house. It's at the security office. You know, the guy is licensed to hold guns. Yeah. So now the prosecution team said, okay. They wanted the jury to hear that. I said, okay. You said you found cocaine, ketamine, and ecstasy and stuff in the house, right? He said, yes, we did. And we found bottles of oil, baby oil, and Astroglide, right? Okay. So where did you find the drugs at? It's in the closet. So what was in the closet? Describe the closet. He said it was like 12 pairs of red bottom shoes and a lot of female clothing. Puffy's not a cross-dresser, am I correct? But you found it in a lady closet. What did you find in Puffy closet? I found a little bit of drugs. You know, they found a little ecstasy and everything like that. And they found some money. And they found more baby oils and stuff like that, which then accumulate to 1,000 baby oils. It's okay. Listen, now look at this picture. Showed them a picture in the courtroom. It's on the screen. Everybody could see it. They had the shoes there with the drugs. They had the guns there with the drugs and the shoes. They had the baby oil there, and they had the Astroglide there with the drugs and the shoes and whatever else they claimed they found along with the guns. They had it in one screen on one picture. See, all right, Max. So the defense said, why didn't you take the picture of where you found everything at its spots? See, when you get caught up in a raid and they taking pictures of stuff that they found, they take pictures. They mark the evidence. Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, Exhibit 3, Exhibit 4. You see it on Law and Order, and they take pictures of everything that they found and where they found it. This federal agent, these Homeland Security dudes, they don't have that. They only have the picture where everything is on one table. You know, like you look at those shows where they're bringing in the drugs, or they see it on a TV and they say, we did a bust, and you see everything on the table, and in your mind, you're like, damn, they had mad stuff. It's all about the image of what the jury see. So that's why he's saying, he asked them, why you didn't take the picture of the evidence or where you found the evidence. You've been doing this for 30 years. You know what to do. So you messed up evidence, didn't you? They also asked him, the drugs that you found in Diddy's home, in his room, in the female's bedroom, did you test that? He said, yeah, we tested it. He said, where is it? He said, it all got destroyed. Wait, what? So you mean to tell me you found drugs, took pictures of the drugs, claimed to test the drugs, and every drug got destroyed? Where's the evidence? So you don't have no evidence of drugs then? You just say you destroyed it. I don't care what you tested. That's not how law goes. When they find drugs, they have to test it. You see those shows when they coming off the plane and they get caught with a lot of summer stuff. What the first thing they do? They test it. It's positive. And they bag everything up. That's evidence. Then they write everything that they tested. They threw away the evidence. He had several bottles of pills and different powders of cocaine. You didn't need to take a whole lot to know that was cocaine, or a whole lot to know that's ecstasy pills. I'm sure he had more than 1 or 5 pills. But evidence is destroyed. You see what I'm saying? This case doesn't sound right. This case doesn't sound right. Y'all all right out there? Y'all all right? Nah, they setting Puffy up, man. They setting him up for the downfall. And I get it. He's a powerful black man. He's a multi-billionaire. Don't say, oh, he ain't a billionaire anymore, because he was a billionaire with all those contracts, and then he got an extra billion from the liquor company. He's a multi-billionaire. Not only that, he's a boule, part of this black secret society called the Gatekeepers. These are the people like Dr. Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson, T.D. Jakes, what's his name? John Adams, whatever. What is that man's name? It's John Adams. I don't know, because they all liars. So I don't try to pay attention too much to their name. But Eric Adams, the mayor of New York. That's why he gave the key to Diddy. You got the key to the city, baby. See why they don't want to let him out? He's too powerful. And they said it. They didn't say it, but I know if they let Puffy out, then he'd have called Cassie up. Yo, baby. Yo, what's going on? Yo, meet me somewhere. We're going to talk about it. She don't care about that hug. She do love him, but not more than Diddy. She would have left that dude and met up with Diddy. would have had a freak off, like she been was having a freak off when she was with her husband, with Diddy, and then you wouldn't have had no case. Because that's a star witness. Everybody else's testimony doesn't really mean nothing. Okay, you talking about you bought drugs, you bought 8 ball for Diddy, but yet you talking about Diddy ain't even know about it. So how you buy 8 ball for Diddy? Where is this? This is why I'm trying to say, I try to tell people, yo, man, you really got to pay attention to the case and listen to the entire cross-examination and direct examination, not little bits and pieces, because court is from 9 to 5. It's a lot that's being said. So these people that take these little bits and clips and they put it up there, you just run with it. And you don't know what's going on. Like right now, y'all all talking about who's taking a stand. Right now, the only one that's taking a stand that I know of right now today is Kid Cudi. It's Kid Cudi. That's it. And what he gonna say? Yeah, I was with Cassie after Diddy, but yet he was smashing Cassie while he was still when they were still together. That's why he lost Cassie. And we're gonna go talk. I know I'm sure he's gonna talk about, yo, he sent the threat, talking about he gonna blow up my car got blew up. But you don't know if Diddy did it. Did you see anybody do it? Did you know anybody that's connected to Diddy? I do it. Don't get me wrong, I'm on the street. If a person tell me that my car blew up, yeah, I'm looking at you. But at the end of the day, it's about proof. It's about proof. It's about proof about sex trafficking. We don't have that. All the escorts are saying Cassie called me up. All the escorts saying Cassie really want to have unprotected sex. And that's just dangerous because I want to know if she was doing that with everybody else, because she was with Ryan Leslie. She cheated on him with Diddy. Then she cheated on Puffy with Michael B. Jordan. And well, I don't know what she was telling him, Michael B. Jordan. So they probably were cheating on each other or whatever. I don't know. But then she started seeing an NFL player while she was with Diddy. She started seeing what was the other brother name? It'll come to me. But every guy that she was with, she cheated with Diddy and had freak off. When she was with Kid Cudi, she was having freak offs while with Diddy. She admitted it. That's why I said, is Cassie excusable? What was she telling these dudes? That's why I said yesterday about greed. When we went to greed, it's nothing but ruins and destruction. Because it's nothing positive could come out with greed. Trying to be better is one thing. Greed is that you're striving to have what others have, and you become jealous. So you get greedy. You become envy. Yo, that nigga don't deserve that. He's a so and so and so. I deserve that. I should be in that position. And sometimes that's cool. That may be right, because some dudes are just not cut out for certain positions at a job, or females, vice versa. You know how it go. But the jealousy comes in, and then that brings the greed. And that's what happened with Cassie. She went from A to Z because she saw Puffy and got greedy. Yo, he got his own label. He got Bad Boy. Yo, I'm going to get put on. Yo, I'm going to link up with Diddy. I don't even know what she was telling Diddy. She had to be telling him something good for him to fly out and pop up at her 21st birthday party while she was with Ryan Leslie. What gives him that motivation to feel that he can fly and leave everything that he was doing to go fly out to go witness, say happy birthday to some stranger? It was either they was talking already or they was smashing already. And for him to be so comfortable to come to her 21st birthday party and give her a kiss on the lips in front of everybody. She didn't care how Ryan would have took it. She already made up her mind right then and there. Once that kiss happened, it was over. She already said it to her. I can't wait for us to be out in the open. She said that her testimony. Go back, check out my first show on this. She said that. That was her cross-examination. Was she jealous of all the females he was with? Yes. She was jealous. Hell yeah. She said it. She said, I did the freakos because I didn't want nobody else to do it but me, because I wanted him. But y'all say, oh, he's manipulating. Her best friend, Carrie Morgan, yesterday, they asked her, did you and Cassie do drugs by yourself outside of Diddy's person? I mean, outside of Diddy's appearance or presence? She said, yes, we did opioids and we smoked weed. So where would Diddy force her to do drugs at? Everybody else that been around Cassie said they saw Cassie do drugs by herself. The escorts, not the Punisher, but other escorts, and in her testimony, said she did drugs outside of Diddy's presence. She mentioned that several times in her testimony. So where did we get that Diddy forced her to use drugs? Don't get me wrong, Diddy's not innocent, especially knowing the essence of abuse, right? I wish I could really get into it but it's so long. It's so long, But like I said, we're gonna get into the abuse. Like I said, if you got anybody that been abused, you really need to pay attention to this because, like I said, it's many layers. I didn't even know there was something called bomb loving abuse. Bomb loving abuse. I said, what the hell is that? Let me tell you. Bomb loving abuse is when you're going through verbal abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, or physical abuse, and you're in tears, right? The person that you're in love with will come and do the love bombing. The love bombing is, yo, I'm sorry, and they bring you a gift. They buy you some expensive purse. They go do your nails. They put some money in your pocket. They probably bought your car. They buy something to the point that it's so hard that you will forget. They give you a whole massage. They tell you, baby, I'm sorry. They're making you feel good. And then you start making excuses. Then, yeah, he was just mad. He don't normally act like that. See, this is the abuse. This is called love bombing. You know what I'm saying? That's called love bombing. The other one was the excuse abuse. That's the one where you start making excuses for your abuse. Now, he ain't working right now, so you know how it is. He upset. You know how it is with the world. You know how the white man is. Yeah, we know, but I don't got a reason why he got to come home and act like an asshole, and vice versa. You got women that does that too. As women say, they are the most cunning. So who are the most abusers? I mean, think about it though. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to touch up on this real quick. Right? Because I'm gonna repeat this in my next show, but I want you to hear where I'm coming from and why is this abuse is so serious. And this is why I have a lot of respect for women, because majority of women go through this. I understand why women is going against Diddy now, because I'm not a woman. I don't know what that feels like. It's not my genetic code. You know what I'm saying? So I can only know what a man feels like. But I understand what the females are coming from. I've been abused as a kid growing up. I've been abused on the street life, abused at home. Although my father, he didn't look at it like abuse, because my father's an old school Trinidadian where discipline was different. But in this day and time, it's abuse. You know what I'm saying? What I was feeling growing up was abuse. What I saw, how he interacted with my mother, was abuse. You know what I'm saying? So we all been through that. Now, this is from Dr. Hughes. She's a forensic and psychologist counselor. She has her own independent firm. She deals with man, I don't want to get into it. Put it like that. I'm gonna tell you what she's really specialized in. I'm gonna just say she's definitely a psychological counselor that deals with psychology, mental depression, and everything. It's just so much. She deals with PTSD. Yo, she deals with so much. When I tell you in the next show, like, man, I don't know. She has to be single because she achieved so much. Like, I don't see how she found time for religion. But look, they asked her, the prosecutor, why do victims remain in a relationship during domestic violence and abuse, right? She said there are three different types of abuse that happens in domestic violence situations. Abusive behaviors. One, psychological and emotional abuse. Two, financial abuse. Three, physical abuse. A second phase, the love attention from the abuser, companionship from the abuser, an attachment bond where the victim become attached to abuser. Third phase are the psychological consequences and disorders, like if I leave, what's going to happen to me financially and emotionally. And that this study has been around for 40 to 50 years. Can you relate to that? Here's showing love at 11:43 a.m. Okay, okay, okay. So I'm not gonna be on here too long. I'm getting ready to cancel out. I just want you to understand where I'm going with this when I come back. She says the dynamic in a domestic violence relationship where there's an abuser and a victim is power and control can come from hitting the victim, beating up the victim. The victim then begins to feel fear. Fear scared, she's walking on eggshells, and the victim gets to the point of how I stay safe. You see why Cassie said at some point now, after she'd been getting abused, it came to the point that when it was time for her to have the Frico party, she said in her testimony, cross examination and direct examination, in my first show and what's on public record, she said at some point I didn't want to tell Sean no for the free course because I was afraid that he would get violent. I was afraid that he would get angry because she's so used to this physical abuse that now when he says, excuse me, to the point now when she feels that she don't want to do something, she knows in her mind he's going to get upset, so she's going to do it. See, this is how the prosecution team is trying to incorporate sex trafficking. See the mental brainwash they're trying to use? This is, and she's clearing it up. This psychologist clearing it up through abuse because now you don't have to say anything. You already made a delusional statement, envision in your mind what can happen if you say no. Follow me now. When the victim feels fear, they either have two reactions. In an abusive and domestic violence relationship, at a low end is just anxiety. At a high end, they could feel like they're going to die or be killed. And she made a point. She made a point because it sets the tone. If I'm like I said with Diddy, if they keep fighting and they keep hitting each other, it comes to the point she can't beat Diddy, of course. She gets her ass whipped. So it comes to the point now she don't even want to tell him no, and she has to walk on eggshells. Some of y'all been in this type of relationship where even the man is not physically abusing you, he's just verbally abusing you. He's making things look like it's your fault. Reverse psychology. And now you feel like you're the victim. Now, when you interact with this person and everything is good, you want to be on point. You want to walk on eggshells. Yo, I don't want to do this because I already know how she gonna act. I don't want to talk to this girl. Because if I talk to her once again, I know how my wife is going to act. She's going to get jealous and step to me like, what the fuck is this bitch in your face? See what I'm saying? That's in the sign of abuse because now I can't have no friends. No, you can't have no female friends. That's unheard of. We all have female friends. But this is a form of abuse. This is a form of abuse. Yo, I don't like how your parents act. Yo, F your parents. Now it makes the female feel like it's her fault that the parents don't like her man. So she does things to make him feel more comfortable. Check this out. She has to try to make him feel comfortable. Maybe it's a reason why your parents don't like his ass. You know what I'm saying? And it's vice versa. Guys are like that too. You know what I'm saying? Females like that too. You know, female could come to a guy's house, and just because the brother or sister know about her lifestyle in the streets or what they think they know, Automatically, she's a hoe. I don't want them to be here. It's that and this, that. And now you hear it. Now you questioning her. Now you judging her. That's a form of abuse. Because now you making her feel little. Now she feel like, damn, I might as well be a hoe. I thought I met somebody different. Now I can be different. I might as well be the way. You see what I'm saying? She's deflated. It's insecurities now. This is all abuse. She talked about the psychological abuse and the physical abuse. Objection, Your Honor. Because what I was saying about Diddy, they objected. Because like I said, this is how they're trying to squeeze the sex trafficking in. Because it sets the tone. So if I don't want to do freak offs, and I'm telling you I don't want to do freak off, and you throw a tantrum, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to just do it to make them feel happy. They trying to say that's a sex trafficking. This is what they're trying to get them. All right? So they disregarded the statement. The judge said, sustain. Disregard that statement. It's already out there. They heard it. The doctor continues, the victim goes through with feelings of depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, anxiety and fear. When there's sexual abuse, it's damaging. It's the highest types of psychological distress. There's shame, there's humiliation, there's degradation, and the shame, degradation, and humiliation prevents the victim from leaving. So they remain in an abusive relationship because of these thoughts and feelings. Then there's the emotional abuse. They get demanding, low self-esteem, depression, low self-perception. They can't talk about it with nobody, so they keep it stuck. So you see your friends, like, girl, what's going on with you? Ain't nothing. Girl, you think do your hair. I remember before you met that dude, you used to have your hair all done. You used to have your nails all done. You used to go out and have fun, smoke weed and do this and do. Now you just stuck in the damn house. Your hair looking a mess. You're not doing it because now they feel so low and degraded and humiliated. They don't even feel beautiful. So they stay withdrawn and they stay at home. They don't want to be around nobody. This is a form of depression. This is what leads to suicide. This is mental health situation. Now, with that being said, I'm going to be back. I got an appointment. You know, I'm a young man. I got a doctor appointment. I got to stay healthy. You know what I mean? You know, I ain't old no more. I ain't 21 and 25 when you ain't got to go to the hospital and take care of your health and you can eat sugar and salt all day. You know what I'm saying? I'm a young man now. So I got to take care of myself and I got to go to the doctors. I got to take out my health. I got to do blood work and stuff like that. You always got to make sure you love yourself because this is the first love that you have for God. Because God gave you life. This is the first blessing. This is his first temple. So if you love this more, if you love not more, but if you love this first, and you love God, you can love everything else. And don't that make sense? So with that being said, thank you for listening. We're going to be coming in later on. We tuning in later on, and we're going to get to this. We're going to talk about Kid Cudi. He takes the stand today. I know I'm a little backed up, but it's just so much going on. Like I said, I got a lot of other things to do, but I'm going to catch up. And like, look, see, I'm here in the morning. I'm here with you, baby. So later on, we're going to be here. I don't know, maybe between 3 or 4 or 5. I say between 3 or 4. 3 or 4. If you don't see it, a pre-podcast getting ready, situated, then I'll probably be here tomorrow. All right. So with that being said, y'all have a blessed day. Hopefully I'll see y'all later.